Am I on? Oops, I'm off. I'm on. All right. Welcome. Thank you for coming to the meeting tonight. What a crowd. This is great. See all you new faces up there. I would like to call this meeting to order, and we will start with the welcome, which we just did, and I would love it if you would all stand for the pledge.
Oh, I would love to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. All right. The approval of the agenda. We will consider approving the agenda as presented. Do I have a motion on the board to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
And it passes unanimously. Good. We'll just go straight to adjournment now. No, I'm joking. Approval of the minutes. We will consider approving the minutes from our last study session and regular study and voting session, which was on April 7th, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve our minutes from April?
I'll make that motion.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, pass. Any nays? Passes 5-0. Number 5 on our agenda this evening is what we consider the approval of donations. And we are going to consider those by listening to what Jen has to say.
All right. We have several this month. One for $100 to the PHS Challenge Club from Esteron Living Trust. Richard and Madeline Truijo donated $50 to PHS Athletics in memory of Clara Smith. The Veronica M. Wilson Trust donated $3,000 to the PHS Band, which is pretty amazing. A donation from Prescott Frontier Rotary Club in the amount of $14,000 for the elementary summer school program. They also donated a $4,000 donation to the Discovery Gardens tuition donation. PUSD Education Foundation from Henry Dahlberg in the amount of $1,500 for Granite Mountains camping trip donation. That's so great. The Mountain Institute Career and Technical Education donated $250, honoring Loretta Halford for being the CTE Rockstar Teacher of the Year. So that's pretty great. Catherine Houston donated $100 to PUSD Native American Education, and the Monday Club donated $100 for a tree at Granite Mountain.
That's pretty awesome. All right. Moving on. We don't need to make a motion to approve those. We do need to make a motion to approve the donations. Do I have a first on that?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving these wonderful donations signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? And it passes 5-0. All right. Maybe my favorite part tonight, our presentations. And we are going to start with our Keystone graduates, and Kelsey's going to take over.
All right. I cannot believe we're standing here with our second graduating class of Keystone participants. Just to remind you, this is a group who decided to jump right into teaching. They had a bachelor's degree in another field, and they decided that they were going to find their home here in PUSD. So they put a lot of trust into us as far as helping guide them when they hadn't been in a classroom before. So not only were they participating in their first and second years of teaching, but they were also going to class weekly, learning all of the things that it takes to be a really good, effective teacher. And I can tell you they have done that and then some. Our Keystone teachers are some of our top tier teachers within the district. Being able to have them come to our district and work with our amazing teachers, both Jolie Tickner and Lisa Darian, to guide them in how to become great teachers. It's been a really successful program. So tonight I'm really honored to introduce to you our two graduates. First we have Stephanie Bowen. Steph, come on up. Steph is a first grade teacher. Sorry, no, it's not fun to be in front of everybody. I get it. Steph is a first grade teacher at Abaya Judd. She actually started in second grade and then moved to first grade this year, so she's found her home there. And then we have Nicole James, who is our PE teacher over at Mile High Middle School. So Jolie or Lisa or Carrie Vickerman, who's been one of the instructional coaches, do you guys have anything you want to add about these two and their journey?
I would just say I've known Steph since the Miller Valley days. We taught at Miller Valley together. And it's just been great to see you grow, and I'm proud of you. Good job.
Well, I think two of our board members have something for you to present to you tonight as a congratulations for all of your hard work over the last couple of years. And I can't wait till you have that certificate in your hand. So send us pictures. I want to see it.
It's going to be a couple of years. These are what we call our challenge coins, and they're presented to people that have done a wonderful job so far, and we're honoring you tonight and thanking you for making a difference in our district. And welcome, and we love you, and I have worked with you for a long time. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, and thank you to the team of support who supports them every day. We appreciate you guys.
All right. How fun was that? All right, let us move on to our next presentation, which is equally fun for me to do this evening, and that's to present our plaques to our governing student representatives on our board. And is that going to be you and me?
Sure, yeah. Is that okay? Great.
Up I go again.
Fantastic.
Get my steps in.
Can I just mention,
Yeah.
Madam President, is that all right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Board members, you're aware that there's an elected school board for every public district school or public district school district in the state of Arizona. Very few of them have student members who are invited to attend. That's something that's relatively unique. I've been asked by other school districts, tell me about your program and how you did. We've been doing this for how many years now? Somebody who's been here longer than me. Brian, Sarah?
97.
Oh my goodness, okay. So there you go, almost 20 years. That's spectacular. And I don't know that we've had two better representatives than we've had this year. Shay and Jax, you've done such a great job being well prepared, attending agenda review meetings when you had the chance to do that, always having great questions and great input for the board this year. And so we want to thank you for your work with us this year, and we've got a special plaque and I think challenge coin as well. Anything, please? Yeah, do.
I have done a lot of research in the last couple days trying to determine if there's any other school district in our state that has students on the board. I couldn't find one. I found an article back in the Arizona Republic from 2023 that mentioned what a good idea it was. But as far as I can find at this point, you're it right now. So I find that working with you guys gives us a great perspective of what's going on the board. It keeps us in line with what's happening out there when we tend to sometimes forget about what's going on. You bring determination and confidence and just a sense of what the future might be for all of us with kids like you in charge. It has been absolutely my honor to work with you this year, and I wish you all the best of luck on your next journey, because I'm not worried about you at all. Okay, so this plaque says, in recognition of Shay and Jackson for their excellent service as Prescott Unified School District Governing Board student representatives. You brought perspective to our discussions, intelligent inquiries, and thought and insightful suggestions. We thank you both and know you have, I just said that, you have a bright future in front of you. And this is presented to you on the 5th day of May by the governing board and staff of Prescott Unified School District. You also get a challenge card because you deserve it.
Please don't mention the graduate.
Sarah, before Keystone people leave, did you get a picture? sorry. We got a picture last year. Do you remember that?
Looks like we're adjourned.
We should be.
Just because that's the stuff that gets in the paper.
Let's get a photo of it.
Yeah.
Also move. Student reps. They're not up.
So Shay and Jackson, before we transition on to our next agenda item, I'll mention to you as well, we've watched, again, several great student governing board representatives over the last several years. Prior to my being in this position, a couple of my own children decided that they wanted to apply for this and were chosen. And of the two of them, one of them is working in city government right now, was impacted by her experiences here, and one's working in Congress. So I don't know if that will, what you did here will help shape your future in those ways or in different ways, but
Perhaps
hopefully you found the
Madam
experience
President?
valuable as well.
Another president, perhaps?
Maybe,
someday?
maybe. I'd vote for either one of these young people for sure.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for this opportunity. It really has meant so much to me. Just coming to all of these meetings has really changed my perspective on Prescott so much. Like, I have so much more appreciation for our schools, and I just appreciate everything that you guys do for us. So thank you for all of that.
Most welcome.
Pretty neat.
Ditto. Ditto. All right, moving on. We still have a large crowd. We lost a lot of our crowd, so those of you that stick around, thank you so much. Let's move on
These are
to
the
number.
diehards. These are people
These
who
are
are
the
really,
diehards.
they care.
On to number 7, our summary of current events, and we're going to start out with Mr. Clark Penny.
Okay, super. Let's see, we've got a little slideshow as usual. So you are probably aware, board members, that our PUSD Education Foundation every year has shifted, instead of doing individual smaller grants to classrooms and teachers, they're doing larger grants to schools. We're doing that on a rotating basis. A couple years ago, a significant grant to the high school. High school put together monies that they'd been setting aside from, as they get a little bit from the district every year for capital things, and then some additional donations and whatnot, and revamp their library, and it's terrific. You've had a chance to look at that, and it's become kind of a student union area, and super cool. Last year, Mile High said, we have not had new furniture in like 25 years, and there's just no furniture forthcoming, so we're going to do it ourselves. Bought some cool furniture that's modular, and students are able to write on desks and figure out math problems, and just really cool things. And Granite decided they want to do their library as well. So it's in progress right now. I was there, I don't know, 3 hours ago maybe, and looking even better than this. But you can see they've got some of the wraps that they ordered from those companies. You can see that one of the windows on the right with the grizzly being put on it. You can see the finished product with that grizzly up in the upper left-hand corner there. It looks great inside. And Sarah, remind me of the date. Is it May 18th that we're doing? There's a reception.
I think it's the 19th.
Okay, there you go, May 19th, there's a reception for that, and reach out to us, we'll make sure you've got the right time. You've already sent that, good, okay, super. So from 3:30 to about, 4:30 or something like that, with a short program, in air quotes, at 4. So if you'd like to come by and see it with other folks that day, that's awesome. If not, there'll be other opportunities to get by, but it's going from a very 1970s worn-out school library feel to a kind of a dynamic meeting space for kids, for their staff. There's not a good meeting place at the school for staff. They just kind of crammed into one corner around some literally 1970s vintage tables that we've moved on from. Anyhow, it's going to be pretty exciting. And we're so grateful for the Education Foundation stepping up and for the vision of Mrs. Hughes and her librarian, Mrs. Stumpf, and other folks who have jumped in there to make that happen.
And it is May 19th at 3:30.
There you go. Got that? And anybody who's interested is invited to that. Every once in a while when I'm walking around schools, I see something and I think, that's super cool. So, we had testing this last month, standardized state testing. And some of our kids are like, I couldn't care less. Give me the paper. I'm going to fill it out. I'm done. Some do their best to fill out the right answers. Some just put C, 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 and they're done. So our test scores sometimes reflect the fact that we've been unable to motivate every kid intrinsically to show us their best work. But I love when the kids are motivating each other. This was in the 3rd and 4th grade hall at Taylor Hicks about 2 or 3 weeks ago. These were some examples of some of the motivational posters they'd written for each other to say, hey, we've been working hard all year long. Now let's show those people statewide how we do things here at Taylor Hicks. I kind of love that. Again, we struggle with motivating kids to do that sometimes, especially at the higher levels and whatnot. But it was neat there. You're going to blow this test away. You're exploding with knowledge. I'm not sure what that is in the middle there, but maybe
It's
one
the
of
nacho test.
Oh, okay. It's a thing? All right. All right. Some kind of a thing that younger people who are like tuned into the world know about. And I'm just like, all right, I'll listen to what you say. And then, yeah, don't look at, that's my favorite on the right. That's not your test.
Nacho test.
Anyhow, kind of fun. All right. Let's see. Other great things going on. I think we've mentioned before that actually, I put this in my board report, not here in our meeting. 4.0 dinner that's been hosted by the Lions Club. Mr. Neely, remind me how many years that's been happening. Did they say?
Well, they did say.
They said decades. I mean, it's like 40 years or something.
I think it was, I don't want to guess. But
Okay.
It was a lot.
A good long time. Used to be Prescott High School only. They've expanded this. They invite Bradshaw Mountain and they invite Basis and that, the other charter schools and whatnot, Chino Valley to be there. The largest group of seniors who'd made it from start, we don't have the largest graduating class, Bradshaw does, but the largest group of seniors who'd made it from the start of high school all the way to the end of high school with a 4.0 grade point average or higher. Some of the schools weight their grades. We do that only for our AP classes. Some will do that for their dual enrollment or other classes. At any rate, was Prescott High School with 55 students out of 350 or so graduates, so a really significant percentage of kids who had held themselves to an incredibly high standard, and 2 of them are with us in the room this evening. So congratulations, Shay and Jackson, on that. And there they are. Actually, sir, do you mind going back? There's a couple of the Lions Club president, and then the lion on the right, Ben Kissel, is their youngest member in the Lions Club, probably by, 70 years, something like that. And he gave the keynote address that evening, and he's a Prescott High School graduate as well, so we were pretty proud of him.
Very cool.
Okay, super. So we just mentioned this earlier. Loretta Halford was named the CTE Teacher of the Year at Prescott High School. She teaches in both the fashion design program and the early childhood education program. So you can see some folks from the CTED district and whatnot. I'm pointing at Loretta. I'm not sure why. So there we go. We're super proud of her. She's terrific. More CTE related festivities here. These are each of the students in our programs who were named the CTE Student of the Year within their program. So there's about 20 programs district-wide between the 7 districts. And among those 7 districts and the different programs, they choose in the welding program or in the fire science program or whatever, a Student of the Year. And these 5 students from Prescott High School were named among all their peers from all of the participating schools, the Student of the Year within their program. And so you can see the kids there, Braden Davis in welding, Michael Godell in computer program, Briella Heislip in dental assisting. So Dr. Megan's making some notes right there.
Notes.
Megan Lip, graphic design, and Troy Spicer in robotics. So we're super proud of those kids. This is not CTE related per se, but Kelsey, do you want to actually share about this? Would you mind? Sure. Kelsey represented our district in this function, so.
Was that last week?
It was just last week, yeah.
So last Friday, got to go out to Humboldt. They hosted a reception for the county nurses because of the rural grants program that both Senator Bliss and Nguyen put together for our school nurses. And so they had an opportunity to really tell both of them how important school nurses are, what they do day in and day out. And then really they brainstormed some ways to continue that grant funding for rural nurses. So I think they walked away with some ideas of where to investigate and where to maybe find some additional pots of money. But it was just really nice to be able to thank them for really putting some work into helping not only recruit but retain really quality school nurses that some districts are not fortunate enough to be able to do without funding like this.
Super. Thanks, and thanks for representing us there. It's nice that we've kind of got the ear of our representatives from this area when they're in the area. Both Wynn and Bliss were able to attend this one, right? Yeah. We're still working on creating connections with Senator Finchem, but Representative Bliss, whose children attended Prescott High School, and whose wife actually works for us, and Representative Bliss, who is a graduate of Prescott High School and longtime resident of Prescott, are pretty tuned into our schools. We appreciate that. So Rising Stars, I think most of our board members were able to be there last night. I had several comments from people about, that's super neat that there was such great board representation. Thank you for that if you were able to be there. These are the 7 students that the PUSD Education Foundation honored last night, and you got to hear more about them and their individual stories. What a neat program that is. With the exception of the MC, everything was stellar, and there's the distinguished educators who were
Best recovery ever.
You're invited back next year.
who are recognized along with them. So we love that program. It's a neat thing. Yeah, and then I think Kelsey's got a couple of different things. If it's all right, I'll have her share as well.
So Ms. Habeck, who's the librarian over at Lincoln Elementary School, helped to coordinate with a children's author to bring them not only to Lincoln Elementary, but they attended, I think, an event at Yavapai College as well as Peregrine downtown. But she came and talked to every single Lincoln classroom and not only showed her books and they talked through them, but she really talked about her process as a writer and an illustrator. Her books are beautiful. If you've never seen them, if you've never had an opportunity.
There's a little illustration in the corner that's kind of representative. It's cute.
Yeah. Beautiful, sweet message and great illustrations. Very child-friendly. But she got to explain just her process and her thinking and why you can do anything you want to when you're writing a book, especially kids' books. So it was a great opportunity for our kids.
Neat. And then I've got one additional thing, and I think, Kelsey, you've got one additional thing as well. I forgot to mention, we don't have a really great slide for this, but you know that we apply for a lot of grants. Nearly 10% of our total funding comes from grants from the federal government or state government. That doesn't come easy, as you probably know. We've got a whole team of people in our grants department who are paid for largely from the grants that we get ourselves, right? So there's not an operating cost to the district for that, but they do bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It's a significant part of what we do. With every dollar that comes a string. And remember, I mentioned to you there's hundreds of thousands of dollars. There are maybe not hundreds of thousands of strings, but hundreds and hundreds of strings attached. If you're going to accept money from a private organization or from the state or the federal government particularly, there are multiple things that they want you to do in terms of tracking, how that's used, reporting back, et cetera, et cetera. And it's real easy if there's 15 things you're supposed to do to get 14 of them right, and one of them not quite right, and then they correct you to get you back on path. And again, times multiple grants, hundreds of areas where we might have stepped off the path for just a second when somebody would have had to guide us back on. We got our audit from the fiscal monitoring auditor, at the ADE and grants management, 0 findings for the year. Every single thing that every single person asked us to do for every single grant, our grants department did perfectly. And that's a real credit to Jamie Buna, who's the head of the grants department, all the folks who work with them. But Jamie came around, if I'm not mistaken, right, and recognized Brian and Kathy Moody, who's our purchasing director, and Sarah for the great teamwork that they provide with her. Anytime there's a grant, these people have to step up and provide information reports. They're a big part of the tracking progress, et cetera. So a pretty neat thing, and we're proud of the way that our district is run.
That's awesome.
And then I think we've got one last thing. Is there a slide for that or not? A slide.
Oh.
Great. I've asked Kelsey if she wouldn't mind just presenting really quickly some of the work that our district leadership has been doing the last couple of weeks, because it's important and exciting and worth noting.
Yes, so the last 2 Tuesdays, we have pulled together our district leadership team along with our team of instructional coaches. So we had 25 individuals in the same room, and these are really our instructional leaders throughout the district. And we were asking them to look at our teacher evaluation tool. So we adopted what's called McCrell, which is the company that we use for our framework for instruction. We use it's called their CUES framework for evaluation. So it stands for content, understanding, environment, and support. So the different categories within the teacher evaluation. And we knew that in 2022, they came out with what's called the new classroom instruction that works, really with the foundation in brain science and how do students learn information, and most importantly, how do they retain information. We know we always had that problem of like, well, I've taught them this, I've taught them this.
They knew this last week. What happened?
Yes. So, I experienced that myself when I went from third grade, or from an 8th grade teacher to third grade, and I was like, oh, I was teaching some of these same skills in different grades. But how do we get kids to really hold on to what's important to be able to use that in future contexts? So this brain science was a foundational piece. So we did a training with all of our instructional coaches and principals a couple years ago, and it was fabulous. But we were still coming out of COVID, we were still not fully implementing the entire evaluation tool because of the new brain science components. And so, we've done a lot of work on our instructional framework and our instructional model over the past couple of years, and those systems were in place, and this was the year we said, okay, now we're going to bring in the brain science component to help wrap all of this together and help complete kind of the system. So we did intentional trainings on brain science throughout the year. We broke it into different components, and by the end of this year, we had finished, at least training initially all of our staff on that. So what we've been doing these last 2 Tuesdays is a lot of conversation around instruction and how does instruction look when you're truly maximizing the brain science research that McCrell has presented for us. And so we had 6 components within the understanding column, which is really the instructional component. And it has taken us, I would say, 8 hours total on those 6, because we've had such rich, deep conversation around what is good instruction, what does it really look like, how are we going to evaluate that within a classroom. So we're going to continue this work throughout the summer to redefine and make sure that brain science component is folded in. But man, I think just being in that room with those instructional leaders over the last couple of weeks, we have some amazing educators in our district who are really helping to create a system that creates some clarity for teachers around here's what good instruction should look like, and then we're going to come up with a plan of how do we continue to support you to be able to offer this kind of instruction at whatever levels, from kindergarten, even preschool, all the way through 12th grade.
Great. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. It's terrific work, and I mean, we're not there yet, but I wanted Kelsey to give us an update, because it was been great, deep discussions about what are we going to do to help kids achieve? What do we do to help teachers, to help kids? And I mean, all the person hours spent so far, 25 times 8, right? I mean, a lot.
That's, yeah.
A lot. 200, did I do the math right, Brian? 200 person hours on this, and we're maybe halfway through, so.
Yeah. And speaking of teachers, it is Teacher Appreciation Week, so just want to give a shout out to all of our amazing teachers out there. I know schools are doing a lot to celebrate them, but if you see them, give them some extra kudos this week. They've made it to May, and they're doing an amazing job. So.
Yep, they're running low on kudos.
Running low on kudos.
Great, that's all from us, Madam
All
President.
right, Mr. Brett,
Thank
anything
you.
you want to come talk to us about? Share with us?
I thought Rising Stars last night was
Amazing.
incredible. It was my first time ever attending that event. I felt bad for missing it last year, and I prioritized it this year, and I was glad I went. I love the fact that they recognize the students and the teachers at the same time. I've never
Special night.
seen an event quite like that. Well attended. The who's who of Prescott, I felt like we're there to honor. I thought it was fantastic. For half of the month, I was closely attuned to the Badger tennis.
Until
There was a tragic event, and then I had my sights somewhere else. And then I also went to lunch with our good superintendent and enjoyed visiting with him and going over his goals. And that. Oh, I also attended the Sound of Music at Yavapai College, which starred a number of our
Students.
PUSD students, and they did a phenomenal job, showed off their talents, and made me proud.
Mr. Cian, what do you got?
So attended the Lincoln Flag ceremony this month, along with the talent show, which was just to even get up there in front of your peers and sing or dance or do funny skits or whatever. It was amazing. So yeah, fun to watch that. And then the Whiskey Off-Road with the PUSD Education Foundation. It was another great year. it just gets more and more refined, and boy, I don't know. We just realized we've been doing it for 10 years, so now, and somehow figured it out,
We did.
Group of parents at the time. And look at us. So, and then we just want to let the public know, so if you hadn't heard, Dr. Paul Hicks had passed away. He is the son of Dr. Taylor Hicks, and the Hicks family really does keep the Can Do Award going, and talked to Missy and Scott Hicks, former president as well, board member, asked how can we donate, really Dr. Paul Hicks really wanted to, in lieu of flowers, to really have something go to the schools, and they chose the Can Do Award, so all the donations now will be asked to go to the Can Do Award. So we'll be reading those off, I'm sure. So,
Super cool.
I'm sure we will. Andy?
All right, so a few things. I was able to attend the CTED Teacher of the Year Award for Ms. Halford, which was really nice. That was really uplifting and good to see her with her students. Got to do a triple crown of baseball, tennis, and softball against Flagstaff in one day, which was amazing that they were all playing Flagstaff. That surprised me, but I guess they all save money on transportation.
They'll intentionally schedule softball and baseball with each other occasionally, but tennis at the same time, that's just coincidental.
It was a really
Kinda
active, really active day. It was good to get and see a little bit of each of those. Rising Stars last night. One comment that came up, I talked to Ms. Nelson, I think, at the end, and just said, she was complimenting how we've got such great students, and I just said, well, we've got great teachers too, so just trying to make sure we let the teachers know that the students wouldn't be there in that award role if it wasn't for what you did, so we want to make sure we thank them also, which we did, certainly, but like Kelsey said, we need to just make sure we appreciate them this week if we can. And then I also was able to volunteer at the Whiskey Off-Road. It's always, I think that's the best weekend in town, and what the foundation has done. I think we need to work on that Hensley distributing, though. Those guys were not.
that we haven't had.
It's only been 10 years. I don't think we're going to keep trying for a few more
those
years.
guys keep.
They're talking about making some adjustments going forward.
I think their level of concern about the number of finishers doesn't match with the actual number of finishers we have, which is in the thousands, and the amount of product that's given out is a quarter of that at most. So they need to chill out a little bit, in my opinion. Anyway, that's it. But it was a great event. Absolutely.
Madam President, can I make a real quick piggyback comment on something that Mr. Freyer mentioned? So you mentioned you talked with Ms. Nelson last night at the banquet. My wife had a chance to visit with her as well. Adam, she's been teaching for us now for 3 years? She's finishing her second year with us. She, for a long time, taught at one of the charter schools in town, a well-regarded charter school, and enjoyed her time there and decided to shift to us over at PUSD. My wife was talking with her about that, and she said, I just love teaching at Prescott High School. I love all of the things that kids can participate in. The other school I was at was good, but it was kind of like playing the same note on the piano over and over and over and over. And now kids have the whole keyboard here. It's beautiful music. Prescott High School is my place. So I loved hearing that from her.
Jen?
Well, it's a busy time of year at school when you have a senior especially, I feel like.
Yes.
So I just want to say thank you for a safe and wonderful prom. I think prom is, I think I was sharing with you, as a parent, you always worry a little bit on prom night, and this is my sixth, I guess, child to go to prom. I don't know, I think it's sixth. And I felt different as a school board member, and it's important that we work so hard to keep them all safe, and so I really, really appreciate it. I also attended the Whiskey Off-Road and worked the Whiskey Off-Road, and it was very fun, and it's always so neat to see how much our staff and our volunteers come out and support us. Like, it's a lot of volunteer work. It's a very volunteer-heavy event, so it's really cool to see how everyone comes out. I attended the Yavapai College graduation on Sunday, and one of the things that we were trying to gather some numbers, but we haven't really figured it out, but over 200 people who graduated with a certificate or a degree from Yavapai College were under the age of 18. And so a significant number of those kids are our kids. They're our PHS students that have earned a certificate through our CTE programs. I think there were 3 or 4 that were like Quentin that did their early college, and I know at least one of those earned an associate's degree, and I know Quentin earned the AJAC, but I'm not sure what other kids earned. But it's just really impressive what our kids are able to accomplish within our school, but through our community college, which is really neat. So it was really impressive. I had no idea that many students. And not all of them are ours, but a big chunk of them, I bet, are ours. So we just don't know those numbers. Last night, Rising Stars. I was at Rising Stars as well. And I got a call today from another real estate agent calling me about one of our listings. And she said, before we talk about that, I have to say that my granddaughter is Ruby. Oh. And she was there last night, Ruby Rafters, and her grandma was with her last night. And she said she could not believe the event. It just thrilled Ruby to be included, but also she was so impressed how we capture what teachers see in kids that maybe it's coming a little under the radar, and maybe we're not always seeing it. You know, they're not necessarily showing up in all the other ways that we award kids. And she actually had the teacher she chose, but she also had the teacher who chose her present at her table, and it was just really special. And so anyway, this particular community member had never heard of us doing this before, thought it was pretty impressive, and was very, very excited for her granddaughter. So that was fun to hear.
I'm going to hire Ruby to be my personal shopper.
I know. I know.
I've never seen a kid walks into Ross or Salvation Army and comes out looking like $1 million. I think she's amazing.
I know.
I'm serious. Okay, anything
awesome.
more for you?
Nope, that's it.
Mine's a lot of ditto stuff. I went to Sound of Music, and one of my former second graders played one of the key roles in the musical. It was very exciting. I went to the 4.0 students banquet put on by the Lions with Clark. That was pretty awesome as well. I did get to go sing with the babies at Discovery Gardens, which is one of my all-time favorite monthly things to do. That's coming up this week, so our last time together. Another interesting thing for me this month was we had a local sorority come to the teacher's closet to have their meeting. And what they did in lieu of their normal little hors d'oeuvres and snacky things is they brought treats for the nurses to give out to all the students. We had shelves and shelves and shelves of Rice Krispie treats and crackers and protein bars and all those things that then we were able to distribute to the nurses. And I thought that was pretty amazing for them to think about that as they did that. And that's pretty much everything else. I did the Whiskey Off-Road. We had the Rising Stars dinner. So pretty much ditto, ditto, ditto. But it was awesome. All right. How about the 2 guys at the end here who we won't see again, at least in this setting?
Anything going on in
Just
your
on
world this
graduation
Come back
night.
and see us whenever you want. Graduation night, yes,
That's
we
right.
will.
We'll see him on graduation.
Yeah, so graduation's kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
It's
is
coming
it?
up
Yeah.
just a little bit. But then we have AP testing all this week too. And then Granite Mountain is doing a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. I just know because my little brother's doing it, but I just thought that was kind of cool. So yeah.
Sounds like fun. Ms. Shea.
Graduation is coming up, as Jackson said, and that week is insane for us. On the 18th, we have Senior Sunset. On the 19th, I think it's Scholarship and Awards nights. On the 20th, we're doing a walkthrough of all the elementary schools and Granite and the middle school. Just a really full circle moment, especially for me, being in a public school system since I went to Granite Mountain. It's just kind of crazy walking through there because I remember them when I was in 5th grade all walking past us. The 21st, we have graduation practice, and then the 22nd is graduation. So crazy.
All right. How about community comments with the governing board? Anyone have anything they'd like to bring up with the community members?
I just have one that I'd like to share. I get to talk to patients all day long, and school comes up a lot, and so I have lots of community comments, and generally positive. I just had one of note that I'd like to share that was this week, And it was a dad who's a single dad, has a kid at Lincoln, and so I took the opportunity, how's it going? And he had recently moved into town from one of our outlying areas, and he just had a lot of really positive things to say. He said his son was struggling a little bit, and the teachers and the staff had rallied around him and got him the services that he needed, and just a real grateful dad, and I wanted to pass that on.
Nice.
Awesome.
Anything else? Stan, Andy?
Yeah, I had one. Just some parents are concerned about recess at Lincoln, fourth grade in particular, and the word was that they couldn't play any sports. All the balls were taken away. What are kids supposed to do on the playgrounds? And I think Teresa and the teacher, particularly involved, did a great job of responding. It isn't not anything that we really touch, but they included us and Clark as well, and just to encourage them when they responded to me, just to reach out, and they did, and the response was, here's the real reason, and it was more about the competition. You could still play, you could still use them. It's just when it gets so competitive and people are getting hurt, then we just said it's just not. Don't play the game, and so. It's great when you get down to the real, truth.
I think it often starts with that conversation, and sometimes there's misinformation out there, even things that are happening at recess. And once you get a conversation going and talk to the people involved, more often than not, we're able to come to a consensus and figure out what happened, and it doesn't blow up if you just meet it right away. I think that's extremely important.
Yeah, well done.
Andy?
Just a comment that I had from someone I was helping with. We were both parents. Our kids graduated 15 and 14 years ago, and 10 and 9 years ago or so, and or 12 and 11, something like that. Anyway, just a statement that,
It was a while back.
well, you know that people of our age think the 1980s were 20 years ago, so. Just a comment that was, the schools aren't like they were when our kids were going through, and I was like, that's really not the case. Our schools are still doing as well, but it just made me think, like, this public outreach that needs to be done about how do we get people that don't have involvement in the school day to day any longer to know that we're still doing the work, that our teachers are still working just as hard, our students are succeeding just as strongly as they were 15 years ago. That's a challenge, I think, and it's specifically in Prescott, because so many people come in that don't have a tie to our schools on a regular basis. And how do we make sure that we get that word out there? And it's not anything we can do necessarily at this point, but something for us to be managing and thinking about, especially as we look at a potential bond and override coming up. But we really need a good message being put out there. And I know we don't have funding. That was another comment that came about funding for teachers and staff and everything. And I'm like, we're doing the best we can, and we need this. We would really like to get this override to pass. And it's just this misconception that there's more that can be spent to make things better. That just isn't the case with the resources we have. So
Maybe
that's what I've
for
had.
our retreat. Talk about ways to bring the public in and become more aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
I really haven't had much conversation other than a lot of people very excited about the bond and override. A lot of support.
I would say that I went to presented at a luncheon of about, I think there were 110 people there, just giving information about the bond and override. And they, again, didn't know a lot of details, didn't know facts. And once you just present the facts to them, then their response was overwhelming. So I was very happy about that. Anybody else have anything about community? No? All right, let's move on to our action items, our consent agenda. I believe, is that where we are? Yes. Okay, so I hope you've all had a chance to look over the consent agenda that was posted. And do we have anyone who wants anything taken out of the consent agenda at this point and moved to a topic by itself. Did I miss something, Andy?
No, I was going to ask, I don't know if we need to pull it out, but I just would like to know more about the, is it an MOU with PBS, with Arizona PBS?
Yep.
You know what, I had questions as well.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'd like to hear more
Okay, that's the
about.
super-wide kindergarten readiness camps?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so that is, let me find it, 8AC. So do I have a motion to take 8AC out of the consent agenda and deal with it separately?
It's 8A6.
8A6, did I say C? I did indeed. 8A6.
I'll make that motion.
All right, and I will second that one. So do I have a majority of the board confirming by saying aye?
Aye.
Any nays? All right, and then we will pull that one, and we will take a look at that one now. Is that correct?
Sure,
I believe
yeah.
so.
You
All
can
right.
either look at that and then put it back in and pass the entire consent agenda together, or if you
I
prefer,
think
you
we
can
would prefer to
pass the
look at-
consent agenda without that and then talk about it, and then
Or can we pass this one down and then go back?
whichever you'd like, you can do it
Okay,
in
I
any
think
order
we
you'd
should do
like.
that. Let's do that. if
Okay,
that's all right
super.
with the rest of you. So let's look at 8AC, which was to consider approving a memorandum of understanding between Arizona PBS Education and Community Impact Department. And that has to do with, I believe, the early kindergarten. Is
Mhm,
that
yep,
correct?
Yep.
So did everyone have a chance to take a look at that and see what they thought about that?
Would you like me to address that really quick and
Yeah,
answer
I
any
think
questions
that would
people
be
have?
very helpful,
Okay,
yep.
super, super. So we have two kinds of agreements that we'll often enter into with other entities. If it's another government organization, another school district, the county, the city, whatnot, it's always an IGA, an intergovernmental agreement, and by board policy, the board needs to be apprised of those and vote on those. Memorandums of understanding are a different situation. It's with another non-governmental organization typically. Usually there's something that's required or requested by the other organization that we agree to, and vice versa, and that's the case here. It's actually pretty rare. By board policy and by statute, I could just sign off on an MOU. You give me that authority. But oftentimes, if we want this to particularly come to your attention, we'll say, let's put it on the agenda, most often on the consent agenda, and that's the case here because it's something that we thought you'd be interested in, so I'm glad that you asked. Thank you. We've got a couple of preschool teachers that had some contacts with people that work for public broadcasting system down in the valley. They've got a charitable foundation within public broadcasting system that makes grants available to people, and one of the grants that they have is essentially for summer school for preschoolers, kids that are about to enter into kindergarten. What was the total amount? I don't remember the
4
year.
and 5 years, yeah.
$6,600? Yeah, $6,600.
$6,600.
Anyhow, they're making enough money available to pay, is it 3 weeks? I can't remember the time frame. It might
3
be on
weeks
there.
is what I have.
There you go, 3 weeks. They're good. That's pretty good. I have a lot of information coming at me. For 3 weeks over the summer, we'll have 2 of our teachers that will work together, and I can't remember the total capacity. It may say there number of kids that are going to be able to come and essentially have a preschool
20.
think it was
kindergarten
20.
preparation, 20 kids, great. Kindergarten preparation, summer school. So the grant will fund those folks' salaries, and we've got snacks and whatnot that are available from other funding. And essentially, all we're paying for is utilities to have the lights on during the
My
day.
question was, is it running in conjunction with our regular summer school?
It'll overlap with.
Overlap a little
I don't know if
bit,
it's the
or-
very same days, but it'll certainly
Pretty
overlap
much?
with each
Okay,
other.
I
Yeah,
wasn't
just
sure
about as
about
long.
that.
Typically, we don't have summer school available to students who haven't been kindergarten through 11th grade with us. In this case, we've got something available for our preschoolers. We're pretty
It's
excited about.
Pretty exciting if you've ever worked with really young children to get these 4 and 5-year-olds involved in early literacy before they actually come to our schools. So I think it's pretty amazing. I didn't know much about it.
I hadn't heard, is this a new program
It
for
is
us?
the first
Okay.
time we've
Yeah.
been made aware of the grant and have applied, and we were able to
Okay.
receive it. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Clark, will most of the students be our Discovery Garden kids?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
they'll all be kids who are going into a PUSD kindergarten.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, good question.
And then the last question I had was that I see ESSER set-aside funds. Those are funds that the Department of Education has given to Arizona PBS. Those are not funds that we've been awarded, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
This funding is coming from them, and it sounds like that's their funding sources, that they
Okay.
have some ESSER funds. So-
All right.
Any more discussion? Anyone? Nobody? All right, do I have a motion to approve our memorandum of understanding between Arizona PBS Education and Community Impact Department and PUSD District Number 1 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving this memorandum of understanding, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? And it passes. All right.
And Madam President, I think we need to still officially approve the rest of the consent
I
agenda.
know that's what I'm going back
Okay,
to.
great, great. You could have done that all
Buddy.
together. Whichever you like to do is great.
I was going to do that second.
Super.
Okay, so now
I thought I saw you paging forward.
take a
My
look
bad.
at our consent agenda, which is 8A. Do I have a motion to approve our consent agenda as listed in the program?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of passing the consent agenda as it is outlined in our board program? Can
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, our consent agenda is passed 5-0. All right, now I'm moving forward
Okay.
to, let's see, down to our public hearing. We're going to talk a little bit about budget. Sarah, do we have anyone from the public who would like to speak about the budget? No. Then we do not need to recess at all to discuss a budget item, and we can go on, I believe, we do not need to recess, so we can go straight to the study and voting session. Is that correct? All right. So do we have anyone from the public who would like to speak about our voting session? No, we have none as well. So let's move down to 8C1, which is going to be Brian. This is, I believe, our third look at the budget. Is that correct?
As presented.
As presented, yeah.
Oh, wrong item, sorry.
I'm on
Yes.
the wrong item?
My response was the wrong
You're
item.
being funny.
I was
I get
being,
it.
I was being 8 hours at work. Smart.
Okay, I like funny. All right.
Yes, it is. Because the legislature didn't have the budget, their budget done by the time budget forms needed to go out, we did the first, the adopted and the proposed budget on draft forms. And so we did a budget revision in August. Yes. And then we were more than 1% over what our actual ADM was, our budget capacity, which means we needed to do a December revision, and then this is the mandatory end of the year revision to capture our 100th day ADM and
All right.
close the books on this year.
Any questions, concerns, comments for Brian before we move on?
I don't have any.
Oh my goodness, this is,
All is well. Jen's
wow.
happy with
I
what's
said,
going on.
I estimated 6:40 for the meeting. I
There you
actually might be
go.
right. You know, really when it comes down to it, you guys already saw a little bit of the ADM impact of the lower, when we did the, you know, philosophical budget package in March, which we did atone to the ADM loss. Interesting enough, between the budget revision, which was based upon, I believe, October's ADM's projections for the 100-day, and where we are in this budget revision, it was only 11 ADM
just 11,
less.
okay.
So it was right where we were. Most of the kids, you know, didn't show at the beginning, and we kept them throughout the end of the year and only had 11 less between October and January net. So, you know, I'm thinking that we won't know exactly what our carry forward is until the annual financial report, which will be in the October meeting, because we can still pay bills and receive revenue for services we did during the year all the way through August 30th. So, but I'm thinking it'll probably be somewhere around 2.6 million, which is
Okay.
less than this year, because it was right around 3.5. And so we want to settle right around 2.1 million carry forward. At anything more, we're doing a disservice to our kids that we have now. Anything less, we're not being really financially responsible for unforeseen things in the future. Obviously, a bond and override would help both of those situations if the voters so pass it. Yeah, so we're probably looking about 900,000 less in carry forward, and we're going to have to attune for that as we go forward. Otherwise, it'll dip too low.
All right. You're happy with the numbers?
Love it.
Good. All right.
Well, I'd like it to
Any
be more.
other comments? You'd like it to be more? We'd all like
I
it
mean,
to
just
be
for the
more.
record, I'd like us to have more.
If Jen's happy, I'm happy.
Jen's happy, we're happy.
No pressure.
She's our numbers girl. Do we have a motion to approve the revisions of the 2025-2026 budget limits for M&O and capital budgets as presented by Mr. Moore?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it passes. All right.
Thank you very much.
Our next very important thing, Clark's going to present this, is to consider approving a sewer line easement at Taylor Hicks Elementary School.
They were going to send me a map for this. I
It's in the-
apologize.
it's in
Oh,
our- it's in-
great.
yep.
So you've had a chance to see it. We're looking at a
Yeah.
10-foot, if I'm remembering correctly, by 18-foot section of land. There you go. Right in the corner of our Taylor Hicks Elementary School. Yeah, you can. That's great for scale. You can see kind of the area that the school is built on and the little tiny fraction of land we're looking at there. My understanding is there's already a sewer line that's running under that, and the city is looking for an easement to be able to build a device up from the sewer line to relieve pressure, which mitigates odor all along the sewer line.
Above-ground odor control device.
There you go. In some cases, when the city is seeking a property easement from a property owner, the property owner seeks compensation monetarily. In this case, the plot of land is so small and there's no impact on our operations in any way. The amount of money that it would, if we, by the time we got an assessment on what it was worth and whatnot, the assessment itself would probably be more than the amount of money that we would get from the city. Plus, we, as you know, we partner with the city reciprocally on so many positive things. My recommendation to the board is that we let the city do their thing in the corner there and not try to charge them for it.
Questions? Questions?
I agree.
What
That-
smell?
There's a device.
Will it smell? Yeah, that was the first question I asked. Is it just going to be?
No noticeable odor will be.
Yeah, is there going to be any impact on our operations at all, particularly smell ongoing? They said, no, the opposite is true. There's a chance for, I don't know exactly how sewer lines work or how far underground it is or anything else, but there's a chance for odor in the neighborhood without doing this. And once they do this, that should eliminate that chance for everyone, including ourselves. That's what
Any
I'm told
other
by
questions, comments?
people who know what they're
Be a
doing.
team player. That's my.
Okay, all right. Do I have a motion to approve a sewer line easement at Taylor Hicks Elementary School as presented by Clark?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Passes 5-0. On and upward. 8C3. I think that is, Adam, finally. It's only 6 o'clock.
Finally, that made me feel good. That was
Yeah.
very nice.
All right.
I figured it was oh no, but
No, oh yes, Adam's going to talk to us about volleyball and spirit line
And
and basketball.
yeah. So it is the time of year where some of our programs are going to be doing some team camps and traveling over the summer. So all three of these that I'm about to talk about are all overnight trips. Though the first of which is our boys basketball program, who is not only going overnight, but they're going out of state, if you guys will approve. They would like to go to the University of Gonzaga for a team camp. I'm sure Jax is pretty upset that they're doing that the year after he's done.
I might get to go as an assistant.
Oh, look at this. He's got a plan. All right, so there you go. He's signing up to coach right now. But nonetheless, team camp's very common for these programs this time of year. This one being different, that they're going to fly out to take part in Gonzaga, but they stay in dorms. Usually food is included. They get to play lots of games, and it's a great way for teams to bond together.
Do we have the air tickets yet?
Yes.
Oh, good. Just because
Yeah, they,
fuel's going up a little bit.
They proactively grabbed those with the hope that you will approve. They will obviously be able to adjust that if you do not.
All right.
So I just had a question.
Questions,
Can
yeah.
we have questions?
Yes, sir?
I was just wondering how they're getting to the airport. Are they taking a bus or are they flying out of Prescott?
I think it's.
No, I believe they're flying out of Phoenix, and I'm assuming that they're. Coach Stedman said that the plan right now was to go through and do like parent carpool scenario to get the kids down there. But if that is an issue, he could always go through. I just can't imagine wanting to have one of our school buses parked at an airport. You guys get where I'm coming from.
Looks like.
Go Zags.
I remember.
That's all I'll say.
Okay. All
I've got
right,
one
any-
stipulation though.
what's
Yes.
You have to go?
Okay, I got a mission for
Okay.
Coach Steady and okay, I know. Okay, well then give it to somebody else. Okay, so anyway, so I have a great
Swan's
uncle, Chuck Goligoski. He is in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Oh.
Can you find that picture and take a picture in front of it? And
We may
would that be
have
great?
We may have that.
I can make that request of
Thank you.
Coach
Just a
Stedman that he
just
make
request.
sure that he honor the
Yeah.
great Chuck Goligoski.
Goligoski.
Right.
Okay, thank
And
you.
any season tickets they could forward to relatives of alums, that would be fantastic.
Wow, look at this. I think everybody's going as a coach. Who's signing up? Let's go. Who's going to Gonzaga? T-shirt.
Do we need to rewrite this motion?
Whatever.
Sarah's taking careful notes over here.
Do you get all that? Some revisions there, Sarah? All right. Any other comments? This is kind of
I
exciting.
just thought it was well written out.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah.
very comprehensive,
Yeah.
and they did a great job.
All right, do we have a motion to approve this out-of-state travel request for the PHS boys basketball students/athletes, PUSD staff members, and volunteers to attend the camp at Gonzaga University in Spokane from June 26th through July 1st?
I'd gladly make that motion.
Good, I will
And I'll
second that one.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? And passes. Okay, one down, two to go.
All right.
Let's move on to volleyball.
Yeah, so hopefully we've all gotten over our jealousy over that trip, because I'm jealous too.
this one's
The next one is a great
fast,
trip as well. So our girls volleyball program is looking to go in July to the NAU team camp. So it's overnight, but obviously a little easier with the travel scenario, no flight involved. But same type of scenario. They get to have at least 8 matches with their new coach. And new staff, so they'll be traveling. Great opportunity for them to get to know, build, and bond, and they will be staying in dorms as well.
And another great place for them to go.
Another really great place to go at that time of year. Any comments, concerns? All right.
I just have one
Oh,
concern.
there you go.
And maybe it's not a concern, but it says the girls will pay their own way. Is there a option for
It's $270 per
a relief valve if there was a girl who couldn't financially do it, their family couldn't do it?
Yeah, the booster programs always have ways to work their ways through that and help programs. I think new coach hasn't had his time to establish that, so it was easier for him to just say that they will each have that split charge. But there's always ways as we take care of our student
Yeah, I
athletes.
just
Okay,
want to be
good. All right,
conscious of that.
makes sense.
Good question.
Good. Do I have a motion to approve the travel request for the PHS girls volleyball students, athletes, PUSD staff members, and volunteers to go to Flagstaff for a camp from July 14th to the 16th as presented by Adam?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? All right, Mr. Adam, last one here, buddy.
All right, so we
Spirit
also
Line.
have the PHS Spirit Line, and another version of a team camp. They go down to Phoenix. It's actually at the Arizona Grand, and they spend a few days working on technique and learning, going through and competing in small group scenarios. So this is very much the same type of idea, except they get to be at the Arizona Grand, not dorm rooms. So
That's right.
maybe a little nice.
Better pools.
I did have
Better
one
pools.
question. It looks
Sure.
like the estimated cost per girl is $625, with the total cost for the team is $2,500. My math says that's 4 girls. Does that sound right?
That doesn't seem right. No,
It does seem right, or doesn't?
does not seem right.
I
No.
just thought that there was something wrong with the arithmetic there, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think that's the correct total cost there.
Well, they might have been thinking that the girls are going to pay $625 and then the team was going to come up for $2,500 because they have 3 different funding sources.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I would assume, because, they're still paying for bus and travel, so that is part of the deal. They'll have a bus driver, so that bus driver will stay.
Okay, so that
So
would
there's
make
room and
sense.
board for that bus driver as well, so I would assume that that's all part of it. I think that usually the Spirit Line program picks up part of that, and then the athletes or
Okay,
families
that
pay
makes
for
sense
their own
then. Just
portions.
curious. All right.
As someone who has sent his
Are
own child to
we
these.
okay to approve that pending a
I'm not-
change?
I think they just think it means
Yeah.
the team cost
I
is
think
2,500 and the
that's-
students are 625 each.
Yeah, the motion is
Like-
not to approve a certain cost, so you,
Okay.
if you've got questions about that, and you'd like us to put it on pause, we can certainly find
No,
out, come back to you.
I trust that
But
that's
I
correct.
think
how
this
Jim
sounds
explained
correct.
it.
This
Probably
makes
the
sense.
entry for the whole.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Now that
All
you-
right. Do we have a motion to approve this travel request for the PHS Spirit Line students, athletes, PUSD staff members, and volunteers to go to Phoenix from July 10th through the 13th?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay, and it passes 5-0. Valerie Stone, did she go to PUSD schools?
Yes.
I think I had her in second grade.
That would not
Doesn't
surprise me.
surprise me, this doesn't
Yep.
surprise me either.
Yeah.
She was a good student.
I had her in 10th and 11th
Yep,
grade, I believe,
yep.
so there you go. Yeah.
Good student, all right.
All right, thanks you
Moving
guys,
on
appreciate the support.
to 8D, information and discussion items. Brian, school budget summary report,
As presented.
as presented.
Ditto.
Do you have anything to say about that?
As presented.
That's it, just as presented? No one has any comments?
I want to know if Jen
There's
has
a
any
comment.
comments.
Comments, do you have any comments?
I had comments last year this time because I was unclear on the fact that some of them have asterisks and they weren't empty yet, but you've clarified that for me over
remember
last
that
year,
too.
so I'm good.
All right.
Sweet.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to, do we need? Yes, we don't need a motion. It's an information item only. Thank you. All right, let's go on to 8D3, request for future Auditor General classroom report. Gosh, I'm messing up at the bottom. I did so well until the bottom of 8-6.
You're doing great.
8D2, the Auditor General classroom spending report. Brian.
Would you like me at the podium for this, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we want you at the podium.
You asked for it.
I was looking that way when I said it. I should have said,
So yes.
this question is for
Did he say?
anyone but Brett. All right. We typically go over this in April, but April's meeting was particularly long. And so, once again, just for community and viewers and the Courier, every year, all districts get analyzed based on their spending and their annual financial report and all the good factors by the Auditor General. And it's a total package called the school spending report for districts. This year there was 208 districts that had results that were a page on the Auditor General's that you can go to and see how all of their spending breaks down into categories. For me, unfortunately, charter schools, which are public schools, are excluded from this analysis. So 208 districts, no charter schools, and that's what the slide says. So go ahead. Just a little bit about demographics. Our demographics, we are in different peer groups. Obviously, our counties, Yavapai. But they group us based on operational groups, transportation groups, and then also achievement groups. Based on similar size districts for the transportation, miles traveled, the area. But just some of the things to note, and actually I highlighted green, which did not come up very well. I have this year's student, this is, by the way, for fiscal year 25, which is what I did not say. So it's not the current year. This is for last year's school year. Just compared to last year, we had 3,560 students. The year before, it was 36, which, just kind of shows that we are decreasing
And
a
Brian,
little
will
bit.
you clarify for us when you say students? I thought it said ADM there.
Yes.
Will you explain the difference for us between
In my
enrolled
world, a
students and
student is an ADM. So an ADM is a student who is with us from the first day of school all the way through the 100th day. If they are consecutively enrolled within that period, we receive full funding or one ADM. Every day is a percent. So if a student is enrolled with us for 20 days, we only receive, 20 days, 20% of the funding. Student comes the 101st day, we receive $0 for that child until the next year, and hopefully they come back and are here for the first 100 days.
And Brian said before, and you're aware, preschool students are enrolled with us. We get 0 ADM for them. Kindergarten students are enrolled with us. Even if they're here 100 days, we get half an ADM, et cetera. So our current enrollment drops off toward the end of the year as families do different things, but at any rate, 3762 currently as opposed to last year's 3560 ADM.
Yeah, in preschool, we have about 200 students that attend our Discovery Gardens. Most of them are tuition. We do have about 40 or so, 37 students that do have an IEP, so they have special education needs. Preschool and kindergarten only funded half, including if they have special needs, that is also half at the preschool. So 5-year change in student attending last year compared to 5 years ago. Interestingly enough, it was 3%. I thought I switched those numbers. Drop off the 5th year from last year, and actually it goes to 6%. So just with, that's the COVID years now we're hitting. And so you start not factoring FY19 or the 1920 or 1918 school year and the 1920 school year. I bet you that number is going to say 8 next year, because until we got those kids back from COVID, homeschooling and whatnot, it's still going to show a decrease. Special education population, governing board kind of asked what our percentage and what the trends are. From last year to this year, we're now at 14% rather than 13%. So 14% of our students have special needs in which we deliver services. Unfortunately, those services very much outweigh the funding that comes with them. But 14% of our students have an IEP. English language learners stays at 1%, so what input last year. Interestingly enough, this one blew me away. Last year, on the report, which is based on the previous year, Prescott's poverty rate was 13%, which put us right on that cusp because they group us in achievement by that poverty rate. It's 8% in Prescott now. I mean, that just blew me away, that the poverty within our boundaries for Prescott Unified School District, it's only 8%. If you look at our district, Lincoln is at 60% free and reduced. Taylor Hicks and Abaya Judd even is well over 40%.
We're all Title I schools.
They're all Title I. Granite Mountain's a Title I, and the only reason why our district's right around 35% free and reduced qualifying, and the only reason why that's not probably around 40 or even higher is because high school students and parents typically don't fill out free and reduced paperwork because kiddos bring their food or buy at the snack bar rather than get a meal.
So that 8% reflects the poverty rate in our community.
Correct.
And we're actually experiencing much higher than that in our schools.
Absolutely correct as well.
Which makes complete sense for what we know to be true of our community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have we seen, Brian, the percentages in our schools drop at anywhere similar to that?
No, they're continuing to go up. And that's
Percentage of
without
free
a
and reduced
push.
lunch does go up every year.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple years because the October 1st day is when, you can qualify specifically for Title I services and even the 21st Learning Community School grants that all 4 schools have. You have to be at 40%. We would do a push right before because we don't have to do that now. Yeah. It's increasing rather than decrease. I was just floored that it went down.
Is that a pretty even comparison? Is the poverty rate calculated similarly to how we calculate who qualifies for free and reduced lunch?
No, I have no idea what that poverty rate calculation on what the census says a household based on income number. However they do, it's our community's poverty rate, and I don't know what that calculation exactly is.
I'm not sure they balance out.
I know that it's not the same measure, but I don't, like Brian, I don't know how it's calculated for the Auditor General's report on community poverty. But as you've pointed out, the people who are cashing out in Orange County and moving here and buying a $2 million home are mostly not bringing kids with them that they put in our schools. It's the families that are kind of struggling a little bit that have kids in our schools.
And I'm hoping that this actually has a message for initiatives, that might be on a ballot that people can weigh, if they want to vote yes or no without saying any bias on my part. But our schools, when it comes to it, have really needy kids, and from a state level, we get 2% or inflation, whichever is lower when it comes to funding increases. Our students have needs, and it outweighs when it comes to the poverty level of our community significantly.
Is there any data, we have a couple hundred students every year that come from outlying communities, not in our boundaries. Any data on if those students are the higher free and reduced lunch than our average population, or?
I can try to find that out. There is not a,
Don't track that.
I would have to take two different data sets and merge them. Take our free and reduced student population, go into our student information, figure out who does not live in Prescott, merge to see what kind of percentage that is. If you're interested in that, I can do that.
If it would take a lot of work, I'm not interested in, because I don't know if it really matters that much. But I just was wondering, as my mind was trying to work with these numbers,
Yeah.
I thought maybe that's a piece that. But I'm not sure we would do anything differently with that data anyway. So that,
If I was sitting in that chair, I would absolutely do it for you. All right. The slide before, last thing. Graduation rate. We did and do, as of last year, have 2 high schools. We have an alternative high school for our dropout recovery program, and we do have PHS. Both of those graduation rates are in this figure, and I think it's pretty astronomical about what PHS is doing and also what Christina Timchek is doing when it comes to our students that are in the Genesis program, for it to jump 4%, because this is all of our students at 9th through 12th grade, at graduation rate. So 84%, that's a big jump, about 4%.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I recently read something about CTEs and the impact of that too, and the increases. And statewide, we're right around 98% of students graduating from CTE, which obviously helps with that retention rate. So all the more reason to keep on, highlighting it and using it and getting everybody in it. So it's really great.
Brian, did you have time to, this is just the Auditor General's report for our district's passing rate, or excuse me, not our passing rate, our graduation rate. Did you have time to parse those out and figure out with our dropout prevention program, which we typically, if we have a year where 25% of those kids graduate, we are loving it, because 100% of those kids were not going to graduate before we got them in the dropout prevention program. But that folds in with PHS's graduation rate to combine for 84%, which is, like Brian's saying, that's stellar. The regular high school plus the dropout prevention high school together. Did you have a chance to parse those out yet or not? No. We'll try to do that for you in the future and get exactly according to, there's varying ways to calculate graduation rate, right? Are you talking about the kids who started with you as seniors and finished as seniors, or started as freshmen and finished as, what happens to the people who move in, et cetera? There's lots of ways to figure that. So you'll hear graduation rate bandied about a little bit, but no matter how you slice it, that's a terrific rate, especially considering that.
Do we have any idea what percentage of our Discovery Garden kids stay in PUSD for kindergarten?
We do. I don't have that data at my fingertips.
One of the teachers just told me that on Saturday.
It's a little low, and the reason is because neither Prescott Valley nor Chino Valley have as much capacity for preschool students as we have in Prescott. So there's a lot of families that drive their kiddo here, and then once they're putting a kid on a bus for kindergarten, they don't want to put their kid on the bus for kindergarten. They'll start in Chino Valley schools or Prescott Valley schools. So we got a lot of families that do that. There's also not preschool available through some of the charter schools in town. There's families who are, they've been Skyview people forever. They're going to be Skyview people until the sun burns out. They'll send their kid to us for preschool, and then they'll go to Skyview. So, but of the families who don't have something predetermined, they're going someplace else, we retain most of them. We'd like it to be higher. And we're looking at, does it make financial sense for the board to significantly supplement financially the preschool, which is serving both kids who are going to go into our schools and kids who will go elsewhere. We might want to look at that in the future, but for right now, we're real pleased with what we've got. And I can get you that data. I'll make a note.
I know
feel
it's
like
something
she
that
did
Stacey
tell me
Williams.
it was certainly
Lower than you thought?
no high.
Oh,
it was the majority. I feel like
It's
she was
over-
It was the majority, but yeah,
it's
I'd
over
love it for it to be
50%.
100%.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
over 50% of students
I
stay
know-
in PUSD.
I know that Stacey Williams did a survey of their families, but I think it was in February, of where they intended to go. It wasn't as high as Stacey wanted it, and she was going to actively reach out and make sure that they knew, what our kindergartens looked like, tours and things, because she really owns, and she wants every one of, our little kiddos that's before kindergarten to continue to benefit, because they rave about preschool, and it's part of PUSD. Please continue your next 13 years with us. So All right? This is really, what we're judged on, and that is how many dollars go into certain categories. I'm going to go really quickly over those categories. Basically, instruction is anything that happens in the classroom. Coaching actually is included in that instruction category. Student support services are really most of the related services for special ed, but also including counselors, office clerks, academic advisors. Instructional support for us really is, it's our instructional coaches make up 90% of that spending. Administration, it's self-explanatory. But what a lot of people don't realize is even the district office, who does payroll, who works in HR, even grants, who bring in money, a principal's admin assistant, that's all administration. And sometimes people just think that's principal, superintendents, assistant superintendents. Plant operations, that's all facilities. Anything that has to do with our grounds or maintenance of our buildings. Food service, Brett, anyone to guess about what that is? Brett, food service? Okay, Brett, it's food. Just want to let you know. See, I'm going to get you back for that. All right, transportation happens to do with our, transporting students to and from school. We, again, put more in this area when it comes to instruction, and Auditor General started putting instruction, student support, and instructional support, student support, instructional support, in one category called classroom spending. We're over 71% again. Last year we were right at 72. It did dip a little, but it's very minuscule compared to the other districts. Next slide will show what that is. Mr. Tenney did ask me to do a visual. What does that look like on a pie chart if those three categories are put together? And I think it really says a statement visually that if you're talking about every dollar that's our operational spending, you're looking at, 71 cents per dollar is in the areas that are impacting kids directly.
It's essentially 3 times all the other categories put together. That's something we're pretty proud of.
So I even made sure the colors match of the other categories.
Nice.
I did that for Brett. So, all right. Any questions on this slide? All right. When it comes to our operational measures, we're compared to that peer group. Once again, it's 13 districts. Next slide, you'll actually see what those peer groups are, but they rate us compared to our peer average versus where we're at. And then I think this is the first, maybe the second or third time that, we're very low in the 3 out of 4 of which they do rate and low. Once again, that does kind of come at a cost. Our buildings are old and, we're putting low in comparison to our peers. It's a balance of, we got to make sure that our environments for our students are just as good as the curriculum or the teachers or anything else, or the administrator leading his or her staff. So this is an information. The notes, I think, are really the impact about, since 2017, we have not been comparable. It goes low, very low, comparable, higher, very high. When it comes to administration spending, for the last essentially almost a decade, to our peers, we've been comparably low or very low. You want to even go further, out of the 191 districts that have an administrative rating, and I don't know why, maybe because it's size, why the other 50-some don't, but only 25 out of the 149 have very low. So we're within, what is that, about 17 percentile. Even more, out of the 207 that do have an administrative per pupil, we're 17th lowest, I guess, 17th least of administration per pupil. The lowest is Blue Elementary that has 12 kids. The highest is Apache Elementary School that has 3 kids, and they spend $27,000 per kid. They must have a superintendent for that district to have that. I have no idea how. I just thought I'd put that in there for your viewing pleasure.
So out of those 17 districts that have a lower administrative cost per pupil, how many of those are union? Are we judged on union high school districts?
Yes. Yeah, that is actually
against?
taking everyone.
So,
Out of the 17, I would say most of them, 13, 14 of them are the Mesas, the Chandlers, the ones that economy of size makes it so that it can be low.
but also we've got Mingus, who has a superintendent and principals and assistant principals and district staff in addition to, for students, for 1,300 students.
You're making a great point. The makeup of the district impacts significantly how much administrative spending there is per pupil. And so it can skew that tremendously. Brian's two sub-bullet points at the bottom point that out really well.
Right.
We're in what, the $1,000 range, $697, that's a lot lower. So $27,000 per student is a lot higher. Both of those are skewed by the type of district they are, and you're exactly right.
You're exactly right.
Union high school districts, which are school districts, as you know, but some of our audience may not, are high schools only. They're sort of like Phoenix Union, it's only high schools. There's no middle schools or elementary schools, et cetera. They tend to have a little bit higher cost per kid for administrative spending, et cetera. So, yeah, the best measure is the first one, is the one that the Auditor General points out for us specifically. And it's similar districts that are similar to us. It does include one, I think, Union High School District, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they actually, I think they got,
Did
Mingus.
they take that one out?
I think that, or whichever one that was, I think it's out.
There's another one.
It's
Okay.
not on, I don't think it's on here.
We used to have one. Maybe we don't anymore. Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing.
Well, we have Buckeye, which is.
Okay, yeah, Buckeye Union, that's right. But at any rate, of similar districts that the Auditor General says, you ought to be spending about the same, there's no better district in the state, by a long shot. It's not even close. It's not even close in terms of administrative spending and classroom spending both, and we're pretty proud of that.
You know, the way that they pull this is all account coding, and there are ways, because you're audited twice a year by an audit firm that you have to hire independent, it's mandatory. But for them to really analyze every coding and every position, there is ways to shift coding to the instruction. And so I can attest, code extremely accurate. And so our student support service, which is on here, 11.5%, is actually higher than most of our operating peers. We do have 14% of our students that have those special needs. We also have related service providers that are compensated well because it's demand and supply, and contracting with a company for those services are even more expensive than having them on. And so I know our percentages are very accurate in the sub 3, but I do also know that it's very easy if you know the system to inflate the instruction. Taking all three together, you cannot get away with having something that is a facility, HVAC cost being instruction. That would get flagged immediately. So when it comes, well, we're going the wrong way. When it comes to this is, I'm very proud of our district, and this is something our community absolutely should know for any reason they might want to.
And the Arizona Auditor General is a state-funded office, correct?
I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
So it is established by statute and the legislatures. So any questions about our scores of being very low or where we rank should not be addressed to this district. They should be addressed to those legislators that don't understand what this means. So I just want to make sure publicly that point is out there, because that is happening. And legislators are questioning districts about these numbers that are provided to them by a state office.
Yes, an
And that is-
independent state office
That happens sometimes.
that uniformly judges all 208
Yes.
districts, no charter school, 208 districts, and it should be addressed to them.
By state statute, which those legislators set. So
Yes.
that's where the questioning should be
And
happening.
you're referring to a phenomenon we sometimes encounter, which is people kind of have a mindset that they want to see either, what's the word I'm looking for? Either affirmed or not. And if you're thinking schools are wasteful, et cetera, and you see this data, it doesn't match with that. And so sometimes people question it because the facts don't match with their mindset. If you're thinking schools are great, they're doing the best they can, especially here in Prescott, this data matches with that. But you're exactly right. If they want to question the facts and the data, this is not data that we've produced. It's data that's produced by a state agency that's created by the
But
legislature
the attack
itself.
comes to you.
Sometimes.
And that's what needs to stop, you know.
There is nothing false about this. So if it doesn't support your opinion, that's not our problem. Make that a bumper sticker. All right.
Okay.
Thought it sounded good. All right, this is the other, I think, well communicated, because we also get the, there is too much administration. And it's very defined what is administration by coding. It's function 23, 24, and 2500 functions. And these are our peer groups. And last year we were second lowest, and Humboldt was lowest. Now this year it actually flipped a little bit more, and that's not surprising, because Humboldt actually did make a decision to go away from some instructional coaches and put administrative assistants at their assistant principals at their elementary levels, which actually jumped them from the lowest administrative to fifth lowest. But we're at 9%. It's actually, I think, the lowest since I've been in this position. Once again, just like the plant operations, you can go too low with administration, because if you don't have a superintendent or an educational leader at the site guiding, we become independent, and standards are not equally as hit from classroom to classroom. So 9% is, I think, pushing it, but I can't say enough about the administrators we do have, and the fact that we do have them with only spending 9% is actually a slight miracle.
I'm super proud to present this graph to our community. I'm less proud to present this graph to our administrators.
Yeah, absolutely. Very transparent.
That's very good.
Can you explain again, and we've heard it many times, but just for everybody's edification, what comprises a peer group? Like, how do we fall into this peer group? What are the categories?
Yeah, so it comes to, there are I think 7 different peer groups, and it really has to do with the size of your district. I mean, it's not just if you're K-12, because some of our peers are union districts, but we're in operational peer group 3, and it really is a band of students. It probably has to do a little bit with, I don't know if it has to do with the economy of, the poverty level, but we are not connected with Mesa, but we're also not connected. We are connected with Humboldt, which is a little bigger, but not Chino, which is, about half the size. So, you can look at, I've looked at, the operational peer group ones, and you can kind of see the methodology of how they group, because most of ours are either northern, middle, or north of Arizona, and so I think geographic may come into a play. But it's mostly, these are the districts that, if you choose to have a superintendent, you're probably similar amongst your peers because of size. If you choose to have 3 superintendents with similar size district, you're probably going to have this slide be a little bit skewed that way than being on the lower end. So it's just, hey, how you choose to set up your district will be reflected in your similar size peer group.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question. Okay. Any questions on administration?
Those are set, the peer groups are set by the state as well?
Set by the Auditor General.
Yep, okay.
I'll underscore what Brian said as well. We got great administrators. We pay our administrators, close your ears for just a minute, could go literally anywhere else in the United States of America and make more money. They could go to down the road, they could go to Phoenix, they could go to Colorado and make more money doing the same thing. But they love the kids here in Prescott. A lot of them have graduated from Prescott. It's in their hearts, and so they do what they do very, very well for less. That's the case with all our employee groups, right? Our bus drivers make less, our teachers make less, et cetera. The employee group of all of them that are farthest from their peers is our administrators. And again, that plays well on Main Street, but it could come at a cost, and so far, fortunately, we've not seen that. We've got great administrators.
Indeed. Indeed.
Next slide, teacher salary. Former Superintendent Joe Howard was in his glory in 21-22 when we dipped right above that state average.
We had a celebration.
Yeah, and then a new superintendent came and all went downhill.
Taking shots at everybody from the podium.
Really, this is
Hey, the podium is, this is a roast. It's not a presentation.
I have a question about this slide.
Yes, please.
I know the teachers, and I don't. This might sound like a little uneducated in this category, but I know they have a great retirement plan. Is that factored into these numbers, or are those numbers separate?
No, this is, what represents the number here is their contract amount, their 301, both teacher compensation and performance pay. In this year, they actually standardized the coding within teachers. It usually used to just fall in one coding, and it doesn't matter if we were paying them for sports, after-school care, a club, or anything, and they broke it into like 5 different categories. They actually clumped about 4 of those 5 categories together as calling teacher pay, which is this. So none of the benefits fall into this number. It's purely what their gross is in the 4 areas in which the Auditor General say this should be teacher compensation. I think that there still needs to be a little bit of not following what they said, but a little bit more education on exactly what those for, because I think there's still a little bit of ways that it can make your teacher average higher. But our 61,208, I think it says, is pretty accurate. And then, you know what, I think the 65,000 is pretty accurate too. The next slide, you're going to see our peer group, and red, if you see it on the next chart, is they're operating on an override. And some of them are 15% overrides, and their teacher pay is higher than ours. Their taxpayers said, yes, we will fund our schools more than what the legislator set forth, because we know the best thing we can do is put good teachers in front of the kids to make an impact on the rest of their lives. So, yes, we are unfortunately lower, and this shows our peer group. So we're the green, that's the 61,208. Any district in red is operating off of an override. And I couldn't tell you if they were in the first 5 years, which it's fully funded, or the 6th or the 7th in which it's declines. I can say, you know, Humboldt made a big jump from where they were, but I also know that here's another way that you can kind of make this a difference if you wanted to in a particular year, is because some districts have a larger carry forward in that 301 compensation. And so I look up what our neighboring districts pay in 301, because we all get the same amount per pupil, but we all have different carry forwards. And last year, Humboldt decided to pay about $3,000 or a little under $3,000 out of their reserves over what they paid the previous year. And it just happens that's right about how much more their average pay versus ours on this chart. Teachers just received a little bit more. They received a little over 15,000, about 15,000, 1,800 in 301, and last year we gave 13,100. So that made a difference with Humboldt jumping on this chart.
Yeah, if Humboldt's dipping into their carry-through money now, their carryover, don't they have to continue to do that?
No, because 301 compensate, if they want to continuously pay, you know, hey, you know, they may have enough carry forward to sustain a 16,301 payout for the next 8 years, and maybe how much a child is worth will continue to go up to catch up with that, and they can continue. But it's a dangerous precedence. You know, we've been paying about 13,000 or 13,100 for the last 3 years, and this year I just actually sent an email about 20 minutes ago, not that I was working during the board meeting, telling teachers that they're going to receive equivalent of 13,100 on their next checks. They've received 3,000 in December, but they'll receive 10,100 in 2 weeks from this Friday, and then performance pay 4 weeks from
Humboldt
this
was
Friday.
paying their folks less for several years, so they built up a surplus, and now they're paying that out. So they're temporarily higher than us.
Yeah, I mean, I looked, and you know, they had a sizable, like, 4 million carry forward in 301 money, and you know, it was okay for them, but I would hope that our teachers, if they knew we did that, they'd be going, why aren't you paying that out, or getting us professional development, all of the areas that 301 could be spent on, but we spend most of it on teachers.
Brian, since Humboldt's our closest peer group in this particular thing, can you tell us if their ADM is increasing or decreasing over the last couple of years?
Decreasing.
Theirs is also decreasing.
Increasing faster than us.
I could
faster than us.
probably,
Okay.
in 25 seconds, pull up their spending report and see what that 6%, but I'll email the board.
It's
what
fine.
that
I was
is.
just curious if they're seeing growth, with a lot of families moving to that area, versus being able to choose to live in town. And I was just wondering if their ADM is going up, but they're also struggling with loss. Okay. That's just, I don't need specifics.
It's
I was
possible
just
that
curious.
the most recent report, which again reflects, we've got a year lag time, may show a slight increase in ADM, but talking with their superintendent, I know that they've gone down in enrollment this year.
Particularly in the high school.
They're hit harder than us by vouchers, first of all. And at the high school level, there's a preference regionally for people to gravitate to Prescott High School, from charter schools, from Chino Valley High School, and from Bradshaw as well. So they've actually gone down in their high school enrollment this year, while Prescott High School's gone up a little bit, even though we're being hit by vouchers as well. So I hate that we're successful at the expense of our neighbors, but some of that is happening.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. I was just curious.
You're welcome. Anything else on this slide? I will say that, Mr. Tenney does anything and everything he can to get as much money in our teachers' pockets, and so the previous chart was, my little slide was no reflection on Mr. Tenney. And so I just, the Courier needs to know that. I did just realize he's my boss.
It's quite interesting to me to note that we're about $3,000-ish and change below the state average, in spite of the fact that we put more of what comes to us into the classroom than any other place. That just shows there's less coming to us. And you know that. We've talked about that before, how our funding is in the bottom 14% of all school districts within Arizona, which used to be 49th in the nation and dropped to 50th in the nation. We just got a report today.
Did we really?
In terms of per pupil funding. Yeah.
Do you,
To the bottom we go.
yeah. And I know we also track our retention, so teacher, is that part of this at all? Do you have that part of?
Annie,
presentation?
from, teacher retention standpoint, going into this year, are we still between about 15 and 20% retention rate going?
No, we're slightly less than that.
Okay,
We're
good.
probably closer to about 14%.
14%.
So our
That's
retention
been
rate actually is the opposite of that. Our retention
That's
rate's
our
about
loss rate, right?
86%. Yeah, our loss rate's 14%.
Okay.
Just to be clear.
Just one of the other things, so that, one, obviously the support that goes into retaining is a huge deal, right? And they know that we're working towards getting this right. And then also, but there are all the other supplemental things that help with the teachers, and like the closet and teacher's closet and the education foundation or whatever. So, hopefully this helps with that offset that we just always hear how much money that the teachers are putting into their own classroom and whatnot too. So, anyway, so another piece of, beyond your comment, Brian, about our superintendent, but all the work that he does to make sure that everybody's taken care of, that also helps with that.
We've got 500 people doing that. I'm just one of those people.
I know
You guys
that.
are kind.
We have to give Brian a hard time.
I'm trying to right my wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
You're fine.
You're fine.
Not
I do think from a district standpoint, there are a lot of intangibles, and even from a Prescott standpoint, we have trees, like I think Jane said at one point, but, just even the support our teachers do, our new teacher induction, mentoring with our instructional coaches, the curriculum that the governing board has approved over the last 4 years, more curriculum adopted in the last 4 years than I think the 23 years I've been an administrator in the district. And so I'm hoping, even though this, and more importantly, that, it doesn't help that we live in an extremely expensive place, but our teacherage, the fact that we have 4 houses for, for teachers to come and have reduced rent. I just think this district does a whole bunch to attract, and the retention of teachers is a testament to that.
Yeah, well said.
Brian, would you go to the bar graph one more time? I just did some quick math. If we added 5% to what an average teacher makes, you can see we're the green bar, right? That would bring us to 64,436. Now, everybody else is going to go up next year, just like we will, right? But if we added 5%, you can see that would put us firmly toward the top of our peer group. So if the override passes, we're going to be in the same position as the 3 red bars to the right of us, being able to pay our teachers more, much more competitively. The only school district in our peer group that would pay substantially more than us is Casa Grande. They're operating on a huge override and have different priorities for their funding.
And I would,
newer buildings, et cetera.
and I would put a caveat on that, and that's with a 7% possible override, but with only 5% of that going to raises, whereas our legal counsel and, you know, our consultants basically go, 5% ask is unheard, I mean, why ask for 5? You know, so, I mean, when you ask for an override, you're 10, 12, I mean, some are 15%.
If we did typical override, we'd be number 2 in this group.
Absolutely, substantially. So,
But again, our reasoning is because we're listening to the community and being
That's exactly
conservative with our dollars.
We want to be super careful with tax dollars, and frankly, we want something sustainable.
That's right.
Exactly.
If it passes this year and doesn't pass again 5 years from
Then
now,
we're in trouble.
everybody's in
cliff
trouble.
fall.
So.
That's right.
Goes the carry through.
yeah, there's no way we couldn't do a pay reduction in that case. Okay. They also put us in an achievement peer group. It has, which this does not show that because our achievement peer group is based on poverty, and I just don't understand the rationale of that. Your boundary poverty does not. We're an example that doesn't match our school's free and reduced percentage. What this is, you know, it's just our neighboring districts. It's what we have around us. And so in math, you know, there was 188 districts with scores, and you can see how with ELA and science, and just ranking them based upon the passing percentage, where we fell within those total districts, and then the percentile ranking of those districts. I mean, every single one were at least in the 20th percentile, with science being 17th or 70th percentile. And then just a graph when it comes to PUSD, HUSD, Chino Valley, and then where the state is. And we have room to grow. I mean, that's why we do what we continue to do. You know, we're no child left behind, and that just means we're going to keep on working until every child passes within the confines of what this tests. Because this is just a point in time testing for the kids and does not culminate every single experience of what they learn throughout the 180 days. But
Brian, clarify
Blue's
for us
good.
again what PUSD percentile means, so people don't misinterpret that.
so if you were to take all 188 and where we fall, if we were the best, we'd be in a category of our own, and we'd be the 0 percentile. And so it's where we fall in that
So the
range
lower that number is
the better.
That tells us we're in the top 19% of all school districts in Arizona for math,
Correct.
the top 20% of all school districts in Arizona for ELA, and the top 17% of all school districts for science.
And this does not have anything to do with funding, has nothing to do with size of the district. This is literally a comparison up there of every district that receives a score in Arizona. Doesn't matter if they're on a 15% override or their school was just built and they have the most educational environment with flexible furniture. This is every district, and we outperform 1 out of every 5 districts. No, we perform 4 out of every 5 districts based on just the once in April's testing window.
How come some districts don't have scores?
Well, I was going to ask something else.
Kelsey.
They don't have,
I have no idea.
you'd be best, yeah, go.
Yeah, so there's a variety of reasons. The most common reason that they don't have scores is because they don't have enough students in that cohort.
They don't have reported scores. Yeah.
Reported scores. So it has to be 10 or more, and so you see a lot of the smaller districts don't have 10 or more in certain
Oh, gotcha.
categories, so they
Okay.
don't report.
So does that explain the difference between the math number of districts and the ELA? That just seems odd to me. But
Could
do-
be. You know, once again, this is the data file that the
Right.
Auditor General, 3 years ago, we actually did not have an ELA score.
Oh, okay.
And I have no idea why we didn't have an ELA score. In that year, I got that number, and it was 3 years ago. I got it from Kelsey because we had an NA.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Okay.
Didn't care enough to ask because I had the resource to find out exactly what our passing was.
The other reason is if there's something under review, if
Yeah.
they're, if they've challenged what the state had reported to them, or they have data that's different, if they're still reviewing that, they won't show scores until they're finalized.
Jane, you're great context, Kelsey, I appreciate that. And Jane, you're exactly right. Science gets
That one
tested
I
at
understand.
different levels, different grades. So that being different than
one's-
but truthfully,
understand
math
that
and
one.
ELA are the same kids being tested every
I just left
district.
that
It
part
ought to be exact same number of districts reporting
I
scores.
think it's maybe what Kelsey said
Having
about
their-
they
Maybe
report.
they're
Yeah,
arguing
and I
it.
think that maybe that was the reason that 3 years ago, we didn't have a score for ELA.
It's just interesting.
Do we have similar data on ACT scores?
We can,
It's
so
just-
this includes our ACT scores,
Oh, it does.
but we can break ACT out of that.
Yeah.
Didn't we
I-
just see that in your
Yeah,
report
and
this
your-
week?
what do you remember from the report? I can clarify. or
I
have Adam
remember
clarify.
we were better than everyone else.
So just,
Nice job.
we broke out just our high school scores and
Right.
compared ourselves to the public schools in Coconino County and
And
Yavapai
Yavapai
County. So
County.
basically northern Arizona with the exception of some reservation schools. Most of those schools have different dynamics than us and don't tend to score as well. So rather than compare ourselves there, we compared ourselves to other schools that have similar demographics of us.
The problem presents itself when we start, or not us, but other people start comparing our ACT to the rest of the, like Massachusetts
Yeah.
or New Jersey, because it's just, they have 2% of their kids.
Yeah, but
They-
you're exactly right.
It's-
And Jen, back to your point, we had the highest math scores in northern Arizona by a long shot and the highest ELA scores in Arizona. Did we have science scores broken out of that as well, Adam, or did you just share math and ELA with me? I think it was just math and ELA. Okay, yeah, we can figure that out. I'm guessing it's probably follows that same pattern. So, do we want our kids to do better? Absolutely we do.
Yes.
But are we doing very, very well in comparison to other districts with similar demographics and similar resources? Yeah, we are.
Because Arizona statewide now does ACT for every student.
Everybody.
But other states that we're compared to
Yeah.
do not.
And
So
that's
that
Jane's
doesn't,
point.
it's not
No.
at all
9
comparing the same
college-bound.
thing.
states were
Right.
all the- I have the 220.
I think that last, I
2024
saw-
one.
how many did you think?
I think it was,
Most recent I checked, there were
Did
about
you
15
say 9?
states.
I thought it was 8.
okay.
So,
Now, there are about 15 states that require
I
all
have
of
Okay,
the
so that's went up a
stats
little,
from
but-
2024 of how all the states break down
Yeah.
and how many of their kids are required to take it. And it's
But
very interesting.
what it means is that most of the kids taking the ACT nationwide are students who are self-selecting, college-bound students,
Correct.
who often take it more than one time.
Correct.
Many of them in their senior year, where we're testing juniors, of course. And so, of course, the national data is going to be higher.
Oh,
But
it's
it's not
crazy.
substantially higher. Our, every single junior has to take it, scores compare pretty favorably with your state's seniors who are college-bound and paying
I did that.
$98 or whatever it is
I
to
asked
take the
Kelsey for
ACT
some
test on a
information on
Saturday.
that a couple years ago. And when you look at, you take the top, let's say our top 10% of our seniors, or top 13%, and you compare them to states that are only testing 13% of their kids, we're way up there. I mean, it's incredibly
Yeah.
high compared.
That's an insightful question, because you're looking to compare apples to apples, right?
trying
Just
to.
our top kids.
Yeah.
How do our top kids compare to Massachusetts or
Yeah,
Connecticut
I
or
got that.
Kentucky?
I kept that.
They
It
blow them
was-
away.
I was flabbergasted how well we did compared to that.
Yeah,
I-
very cool.
I know I asked for this in a past meeting, but I would like to see those CTED assessments too at some point and see if we can get those to compare them to other districts that have similar types of CTED to see how because that is a separate assessment.
It is,
from what I
absolutely.
understand.
Yep.
I mean, our kids take AP exams, you know,
Yeah.
for those,
Yeah.
I mean, so there's,
All of that
there's a
data,
plethora.
There's additional
I
data
think
that
you
we should do a better
presented-
job of
Yeah.
advertising with
I
people.
feel like you presented AP to us last year after all the AP exams. Well, obviously, we don't have that data yet because they're testing right now.
Yeah, but it was probably good.
Yeah.
Wasn't, I think it was 82 or 83% of our AP kids scored 3 or higher? Does that sound right?
Like a 20% increase.
Yeah,
Over the previous
pretty
year.
amazing.
Yeah.
Again, as far as public info goes,
Absolutely.
that's all stuff that,
Something I sometimes battle in the communities, people say, only 46% of your kids are passing math? Yeah, that's abject failure. What's the matter with you? And I kind of think to myself, have you ever followed baseball? If there's somebody who's batting .298, that person's doing really, really well. They're only getting the ball and playing, getting on base a third of the time. But if you compare it to other people, that's where the real data comes through, is not looking at 40% or 40% or 34. That's almost meaningless. It just depends on how difficult your test is. How you compare to other people is really meaningful, and we compare very, very well. I'm super tired of trying to express to people. When people say, when you bring up your test scores, then we'll give you resources. that's kind of backwards. Help
I mean,
us out.
If you have a test that's so hard and the highest score out of 1,000 people who took it was a 50%,
I have,
and
I
you
have true
scored
experience with that.
49%,
I got a 55.
you did unbelievable on the assessment that was ill-matched with the content that you should have known, or
Right, yeah.
or the way it was presented.
I took
or,
a physics test
yeah.
in college that I got a 55% on, and I went home and cried, and it turned out to be a B+.
Yeah. Well, there's a
Well,
reason
it's-
why there's norm adjustments when it comes to.
And it's the difference which
norming.
the state has set us up to fail is the difference between passing versus proficiency. And they're interchanging these words and these criteria when proficiency does not mean passing by any stretch of the imagination. I use the example of talking to a former neighbor who studied Chinese at Embry-Riddle, went and lived in China for a year, speaks it fluently. But I asked him, are you proficient in Chinese? And he said, no, not by a long shot. So that's a difference. He's fluent in Chinese. He can pass any exam you want to give him in Chinese, but he's not proficient in Chinese. So that whole idea, and this
They're not synonymous.
bothers me to no end because we're talking about passing percentage, and we need to
Right.
have data that reflects passing and not proficiency. So 46% proficient is pretty good.
Well, it's better than 4 out of 5 districts
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
And Kelsey, talk about partially proficient.
I was just going to say that. When you add in and you look at our students who partially proficient,
Yes.
they have a lot of skills. They just don't have all of the pieces quite yet. And
To match wherever the bar was set, sometimes
Correct.
arbitrarily for these tests.
right, and sometimes it's not even that they don't have the skills, it's couldn't navigate the technology component of the assessment in order to show that, which is pretty unfortunate. Or in some of our cases, especially in elementary, it's a one day in time. It
Right.
could have just been an off day, so it's not a true measure of what students know and can do. It's just one measure. But you're right.
Oftentimes, tests don't capture that anyway, right? Like it's very challenging to create a test that captures proficiency in the whole picture of what that looks like.
Correct.
And then you combat having to do posters to motivate each other to do the best. That's not your test, not your test.
That's not your
Because this means nothing to the students, and yet it means, unfortunately, a lot when it comes to external eyes looking at the test.
And you've also got students like the group I volunteer with on Tuesdays that will say right out, I have no interest in taking these exams.
It's the 6 tests we put in front of them the last 2
Yep.
weeks, and they're like, I'm done.
I have an ACT, I'm going to
man.
make a Christmas tree on.
It's high
And-
stakes for you, but it's not high stakes for me, so,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And
I agree with you. And I'm going to turn a new leaf. I'm not going to be mean and point out the fact that Jane just got the nacho test reference.
You just got
I
that
just,
one, huh?
the light went on and
The
I
light went
viewed
on
it
for
from
the
the
nacho
podium.
test.
If I was sitting in my
gonna be
chair,
smiling the rest of the
I
night.
would not have seen that
Okay, you
as
guys
well.
wanna
So thank
replace
you,
me
Brett,
at
for putting me up here.
Nacho
This was such a good spectator spot for the light that Jane had and the embarrassment that she just said to Clark, I just got a nacho test. Okay. And finally, any questions? Because
I have one.
Yes,
question
Jane.
that I already asked, but evidently we have the answer now. What percentage of kids from Discovery Garden go on to PUSD kindergarten?
we do have it.
And we have a number.
I do, yeah. So Stacy Hop is our Discovery Gardens
Oh, I said
principal.
Williams. She got
And I
married.
texted her
I thought it was Stacey
and
Williams, too.
she said, so we've got solid data from last year. And then
Okay.
we've got data that's self-reported by parents for this year. Last year was definitely one of our better years. Where were we at? Sorry, let me find it. 82% last year. So 82% of our kids. Yeah, that's a very high percentage.
that's higher
Higher
than
than I was
Much
thinking.
higher than I thought.
This year, she says it's in the low 70s, and she's very frustrated.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's still not that bad.
It's still not
Can
that
I-
bad. Absolutely, I told her
Right.
that's actually pretty good, Stacy. Given the fact that a lot of people are coming to us from Chino and Prescott Valley, and then reasonably make a different decision for their kindergartner.
Right.
We're pretty pleased.
Right. I think one of the comments that was made to me was also that there are other schools that allow students to go into kindergarten a little bit younger.
Yes.
And without the testing and the assessment that we do. And so I think that also attracts some of those families whose kids are kind of more on that cusp of age group. Can you tell us how many states, if you guys even know, or, I mean, is it still common that kindergarten isn't fully funded at the state level? I mean, are we the only state?
We're not.
I could ask-
Let me
I
see
could
what
ask
AI says. I
ChatGPT
don't know off
that.
the top. I know it's very uncommon for
Idaho
someone
and
not to be
Utah.
fully funding kindergarten.
Clark has a friend and it's Gemini.
You're right. I mean, I have Claude up all the time, so I could just ask.
Let me see what it says while you're talking about other things.
Oh, I'm still
dig it
thinking
up
about the nacho test.
Sorry,
You're
Gemini.
gonna bask in the glow of that one for a little while, I think. That's good.
You know, and what's hard is that we actually made that decision. We were fully funding kindergarten at one time, and then in 2008, 2009,
That's when, yep.
that was taken from us. And then, unfortunately, we also, and you know, in this slide, I feel bad. This does not mean our neighboring districts are not putting forth a product that their kids can thrive. It's just, you know, it's just geographical comparison. And, you know, they're taking the same tests as us, and it's natural to compare. But, you know, it ended up being that we used to charge parents tuition and have a curriculum that was mainly in the morning because we had a handful of afford it, or we just want our kiddos half day and they went home at noon. And then just by competition and the nature of enrollment, you know, Humboldt started offering free kindergarten, and then the next year or the same year we needed to as well because we couldn't afford not to. But it's about $300,000 of non-funding that we receive at the state level because we fund our teachers fully without charging any tuition, although we're only funded 8 a.m. to noon from the state.
Which is equivalent to about a 1% raise, about 300,000.
That's pretty. That's
A little bit more, but.
a little bit more.
So this is just AI.
Mine too.
Take that for what it's
It'll be
worth.
interested to see what your AI says versus mine.
So I get two different things.
AI.
As of recent data, it says only 21 states require school districts to offer half-day kindergarten programs instead of full day. And then I asked for a list, and it's listing only like 7 states. Arizona,
Mine's-
California, Colorado, Massachusetts, Texas, Michigan, and Idaho.
Mine says that states that require and fully fund kindergarten full-day kindergarten are about 16 to 17 states.
That fully fund.
It's all over the
kindergarten.
place in terms of the.
Yeah.
Well, let me see if I can get some.
It depends on how you ask the question, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there are states that kindergarten's not mandatory.
Yeah, but I mean, the
Right.
point is just like you
It's
said.
just funding. Yeah.
We're getting funding for a half day, so we could do what some people used to, but almost nobody does that in Arizona anymore. Every school district recognizes how important it is for kids to have a full day
Yeah.
of kindergarten and how difficult it is to put a family in a situation like Brian's talking about. We don't have enough money, we can only get half as much education for our kid this year as everybody else. And then we'll start them at a disadvantage in first grade that will carry on. We just didn't want to see that anymore, and we said, okay, we're going to squeeze it from someplace else. We'll pay teachers less across the board, and we'll pay for full-day kindergarten out of
Yeah.
the meager funds that we have.
Absolutely, no doubt that early intervention and early education is the most important to set a kiddo on a trajectory. And it's a little embarrassing that our state only funds it half.
Well, it's also disappointing if Jen's figures are correct, that 16 states fund full-day kindergarten.
Yeah, it doesn't
Fully?
seem to be a majority.
That's kind of disappointing for the country.
It's a little bit disappointing as
It's
well.
against all of the research about
yeah.
how essential.
That every one of the
And
states
it's
would
correct.
say is absolutely true,
And anyone who's
and
trying to
yet
really
it's not a
help it
priority.
knows that instinctively that that's just not right.
So I asked the question differently, Jen, it matches with yours a little bit better. What states fully fund kindergarten? It says currently 14 states plus DC, so that'd be
Yeah.
15,
15
and you got
states.
16. So the
That's
majority do not
terrible.
fully fund kindergarten.
Yeah,
And it's
30
ridiculous.
34
It-
states do not fully fund
That's,
full-day kindergarten. That surprises me. Actually, it makes me feel a little better, though. Like, we're not,
Well, yeah,
for once, the bottom of the totem pole.
And yet we're still 50th.
Here we are. We have a little win there.
Hey, if we funded kindergarten, we'd be 49th again.
good to end the day on a
Oh, this is interesting. So I'm now seeing funding disparity. 32 states fund kindergarten at the same rate as first grade when it is offered, but they might not require districts to offer full day. So that's a different situation. You see what it's saying there? So the states that have a requirement for full day kindergarten and fully funded, there's 15 or 16. Most states, the majority of states, there's only about what does that make? There's 28 that don't. the majority of states, that says do fully fund kindergarten at the same rate as their first grade. But they don't always require by law for kids to go to kindergarten. That's not unusual. Most states don't require kindergarten by law.
Yeah.
So like the data we were getting is both of those two pieces together.
Yeah,
Required by law
required
and fully
and.
funded. Different situation.
And just so you know, the AI also told me that the poverty line is the free lunch is 130% above poverty line.
Okay.
130%, and the reduced lunch goes up to 185%.
That's correct.
So that's why our number is so much higher than our
Because-
poverty line in our community. I mean, one of the reasons.
Because of the,
Because a
stage.
family of four can earn up to 41,800, where in real poverty line for federal government, family of four can only earn 32,000
yeah.
for the federal poverty line.
So you
So
could be a
it
ways
just,
above that, still
yes,
get free
and
lunch.
still get free
Yes,
lunch.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
reduce lunch even more.
I was going to say, the reduced lunch.
Families not necessarily below
Yeah.
the federal poverty line. You're
Right.
right, they're measured in two different
Yeah.
ways.
But that's the general math behind it.
Thank you.
I just have one quick comment on, a lot of these numbers we get is we're comparing ourselves to other people. And I think I don't see this in our district, but I think some people could get a little bit lax, or I guess Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy. And so if we continually compare ourselves with other people, we might lull ourselves into a situation where we don't want to be. But I don't see that in this
I don't
district.
see
I
that
see the
either.
coaches and the teachers and the administrators striving to do what's best for the kid, not just do what's best compared to what our neighboring district or another state is doing. So
And set by precedence of the governing board, because that's exactly what you guys do.
Well,
as
one aspect of that is when we have so many student presentations at our board meetings to celebrate, because we like to celebrate
keep
the good
pushing,
things that are happening.
keep striving for excellence, doing our best for the kids.
When we compare ourselves, one of the most important comparisons we can make is how we did last year, how last year's third grade cohort did in fourth grade,
right.
how this year's third grade cohort
That's
did
a
compared to
great
last year's third grade cohort. All of those pieces of data are important to us. Are they the only measure of our success? Far from it, right? That's what you've been talking about all evening. But they're an important one. We pay a lot of attention to those standardized test scores, even the ones that come from the kid that were making the Christmas tree on their ACT bubble-in sheet.
We're looking at the clock.
We look at the whole thing and
12
say,
to 3.
are we getting better? Are we moving the
you
needle?
never
Are we
did that?
striving for excellence? Yes.
You guys
I like
must
that
have
point
done
about
that.
comparing ourselves to our former self and
Yes.
trying to
And I think that that's it. I mean, education, when it's disjointed when it comes to grade levels, I mean, just having a different teacher every single year, I think it's a hardship. And I loved when, I had teachers that looped at Taylor Hicks at one point. Yeah, I know. And it's amazing the amount of time you gain by not having to
Just jump
set
right
different
in and start.
precedences. But it's about tracking the child in itself and the growth at that child, because sometimes this is where they're at, and they have gained more than a child that, came with a whole bunch of skills into kindergarten, so. I told Kelsey this was only be like 5 minutes, and I thank you for holding me
That was very
to that.
interesting
I'd like to make a
discussion.
motion that we end Brian's presentation.
Are we gonna,
That Brian sits down.
Sarah, are we going to get those slides? Because they're more up to date than the ones I have printed. We'll get those. Yeah. Good, excellent, because they're a little more up to date than what I have. All right, are we done here with this conversation? Okay, then we can move on to 8D4, which is our next meeting dates.
You skipped 18.
I
Future
missed
agenda.
that, I did it again. I'm getting punchy. 8D3, request for future agenda items.
I don't have it.
And we had mentioned one, and I said we should do that for future. Anybody remember what it was I said?
The CTED assessment comparison?
So that's one that we want to do for sure.
Mentioned,
Yeah.
yes.
When we get AP data back, we'll get that ready for you again, and then CTED data, and see if we can get comparisons. We'll work with Bill
Yes,
Steitler and say,
okay.
okay, here's how our kids did. That sounds pretty good, but is Batten 301 really good, or is it really bad? And then we can get some comparisons, see, oh yeah, it's really good.
The ACT stuff will be good. All right. Good. Anybody else have something for the future items? Other than, I still want to see a phonics lesson someday. And I guess Sarah's not going to do it.
We've got other amazing teachers.
I know,
too.
so I do want to do that at some future board
It was a
meeting.
U-Fly, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. we'll have-
I think it's important for people to realize that we do teach an intensive, rigorous phonics program. We haven't given that up. All right, now I can go on to D4? Very good. Our next meeting will be on June the 25th, which is a Thursday, at 5 o'clock here in the district boardroom, which is good because you get back from your trip and I get back from my trip. And we both would have missed it if it had been on the Tuesday. And we didn't mess up your Grand Canyon trip, did we?
No, that's in September.
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
will miss the next 2 board meetings, but
You're
I
gonna
will,
miss the
I
next
will
2?
call in.
Okay.
I will
And
call in.
to be clear, you would have missed even on the 23rd. It's not like we missed you
Yes.
up
Right.
50.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I'm working out of town that day, and I will do my best to be here, especially, we'll still have a quorum, won't we?
Okay.
We'll have a quorum, yeah.
Because we gotta have a
I'll
quorum.
call
Adjust my
in,
schedule.
so.
All right, as long as at least one of you calls in, we should be
Yeah.
all right. All right. Other dates? Do I need to talk about all these other dates? Yeah, it's posted. It's what?
Yeah, those are all
It's
posted, but just for the note of the board, there's a lot of great things that are coming
Well,
up at
there's-
all of our
yeah.
schools, but here's some from the high school that, you know.
Because there's a couple I'm gonna not be able to miss. I can't do graduation this year, but no. I can do that. All right. Anything else for
I
the?
know, I'm like, what?
That was, you get to do it. Anything else for before we adjourn for the evening? It's only 10 after 7. This is good, guys. All right, we're adjourned.
Still loud.